The vase shattered before I could even breathe. $4,000 of delicate porcelain slipped from my fingers, crashing onto the marble floor. In that grand mansion, the sound echoed like a tragic symphony. I stood frozen, hands raised in disbelief, feeling as if the world had come to an end. He appeared in the doorway, Nathaniel Cole, his figure etched against the light. At 37, he boasted a fortune of $4.2 billion. His gaze met mine, calm and steady, like one would view a broken item, devoid of shock or anger. Just silence hung in the air. Those hazel eyes drifted from the shards at my feet back to my face. He didn't utter a word. Instead, he turned and disappeared into his office, closing the door softly, almost like a whisper. For a moment, I wondered if I had imagined him. That instant is when I should have turned away. I should have gathered my things, reached out to the agency, and never looked back. My years in the field taught me that the quiet ones often held the most unpredictability. A furious man offered a clear target for your own feelings. But a man who swallowed his rage, that was the dangerous mystery. He could devastate your life before you were even aware of it. Yet, I remained trapped by my need for money. If you're new here, welcome to Danito's Stories, where stories linger long after the last word. Please take a moment to subscribe. Stick around until the end. Let's dive in. I'm Amara Johnson, 31 years old, and I have a younger sister, Becca, unafraid to speak her mind. My father lay in a hospital bed, just a short drive away, battling a heart condition labeled manageable, but felt terrifying to me. My savings totaled $2,800, the exact debt I faced. I had once been on a pre-med path for 2 years. But when my father's health declined, the weight of responsibility fell onto my shoulders. That part is rarely mentioned. It's a burden I carry alone. The Cole estate in Greenwich, Connecticut was guarded by strong iron gates, spanning 11 tranquil acres that seemed to hold their breath upon entry. Standing 3 stories tall, the mansion housed 14 rooms and a garden left untouched at the back, a space none, not even Nathaniel, dared to approach. It would take time before I uncovered the true owner of that garden. During my early week there, I learned the unspoken house rules. Speak only when addressed. The East Wing would remain closed after 9 p.m. Meals were to be collected outside his office door. No knocking. The photographs on the 3rd floor were off limits. I didn't pry, but I noticed her. With dark hair and bright eyes, her smile hinted at bravery untouched by fear. In every photo, Nathaniel lingered just behind her, as though she anchored him against life's storms. She had been gone for 3 years, yet he hadn't altered a single frame. The first night I was awoken at 2:14 a.m. The exact time stuck in my mind because sleep was elusive. The silence in the mansion felt thick, pressing against the walls. Neither tranquil nor void. Something lurked within that stillness. I got up for water and paused at the kitchen entrance, detecting a sound from the study. It wasn't loud, just a weary rasp from a man who had borne his burdens too long, now believing himself unseen. I hesitated for 30 seconds, then opted for tea instead. I didn't knock or announce my presence. I simply set the cup on the small table outside the door, which started to feel like his line, where his world concluded and mine began. I went back to the kitchen and returned to bed. The next morning, the cup had disappeared. It was cleaned and returned to the shelf without a note. At breakfast, Nathaniel sat alone, absorbed in documents I wasn't meant to see. From that night on, I made tea every evening. Each morning, the cup reappeared. Our silence morphed into an unspoken understanding. Understanding Nathaniel Cole's essence is crucial, as it intertwines with everything that follows. He wasn't cruel, which threw me off balance. I had encountered powerful men before, those who wielded wealth like a weapon, dehumanizing their staff. Nathaniel, however, was different. He was icy and controlled, He demanded perfection but offered little recognition either way. Yet, his silence contained something I struggled to identify for quite a while. When I finally did, it unsettled me far deeper than his chilliness. He was lonely, a solitude so profound he'd forgotten its pain. He had mastered the practice of being alone. One Tuesday afternoon, I found him hidden in his private library, unaware of my presence. I was dusting the upper shelves, usually a deserted area in the afternoons. I picked a book from the shelf and lost myself in it, thinking no one else was present. 3 pages in, I felt the atmosphere shift. He stood in the doorway, watching me. I should have put the book down. I ought to have excused myself and returned to the East Wing, where the staff waited. That had been my plan a month ago. But that day, I stood my ground. Our eyes met. I noticed a flicker on his face. Not quite surprise or disapproval, but a shift in his thoughts. He moved to his chair and settled with another book. For an hour, we occupied opposite ends of the room in quiet stillness. When I finally stood to leave, he didn't look up. Yet he didn't command me to return the book either. Victoria Hale arrived on a Thursday. She was a woman who understood precisely what lay ahead. Entering the Cole estate in a coat worth more than my father's initial surgery, she evaluated every room like a general surveying captured territory. I was polishing the entrance when she walked in. Her gaze landed on me just once, regarding me like worn-out furniture needing replacement. "You," she said. "Get Marcus to bring in my bags." Confused, I replied, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name." Her smile barely reached her eyes. "Not relevant, is it? Just tell the staff to carry my bags." I bit my tongue and found Marcus. Older and sturdy, he seemed like a man who'd witnessed it all yet remained unfazed. He looked up from the car hood and gently said, "She does this to all of us. Don't let it sink in." 20 minutes later, Nathaniel found us in the foyer. Victoria was already altering the ambiance of every room she entered, filling it with a warmth that had staff moving around her like a current. He watched her briefly before shifting his gaze to me. "Amara," he said. It was the first time I heard my name on his lips. I was momentarily taken aback. "Is the East sitting room prepared?" "Yes, Mr. Cole." Victoria then focused on me, assessing me fully. "Ah, the new house help." A tense pause lingered. "She's quiet. She has a name," Nathaniel interjected, his tone absent of warmth. Just a correction that assured me he felt compelled to state it. Then, he walked past us toward his office. Victoria's smile remained steady, but the aura shifted subtly. It was as though the temperature had dropped before a storm. She had returned for something beyond Nathaniel. It was the empire he governed. The $4.2 billion, the Cole legacy. The expansive 11 acres, iron gates, and the weight of a life appeared untouchable from the outside. Both of us had underestimated the role of house help. That Friday night, while wrapping up chores in the kitchen, the phone rang. It was my sister, Becca. She only called late when something had occurred that words couldn't mend. I instantly detected the tremor in her voice, that familiar pitch signaling her struggle to maintain control. "It's Daddy," she said. "He collapsed at the clinic. They stabilized him, but surgery is needed, Amara. The expensive kind." I sank onto the kitchen floor, right in Nathaniel Cole's kitchen, still in my uniform. My mind began racing with dark thoughts, the harsh calculations of my inadequacies. Savings against expenses. Time weighed against essential needs. What I had versus the cost of keeping my father alive. Not a tear fell. I share this not as a demonstration of strength, but because the figures were overwhelming. Tears are for situations you can still influence. This figure had rewritten everything already. I got up, finished my chores, and went to bed. I asked nobody for help. I never did. What I remained unaware of was that the walls of that house listened, belonging to a man who discerned what others concealed amidst sorrow. I had no hint that he had heard me. Somewhere within Nathaniel Cole's carefully structured life, an unexpected shift began to unfold. By dawn, something would be set in motion, something I couldn't have asked for, nor would have accepted if given the chance. What would your rating of this story be? Drop a 0-10 in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button for emotional explorations every day. And if it truly touched you, consider leaving a super thanks. Your support fuels our storytelling. Every contribution, big or small, is deeply appreciated. Eager for the next narrative? It's bound to be even more dramatic than this. Click now. Thank you for being part of this journey.